3, 2.
And we are live. Thanks for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and our guest today is extraordinary businessman, president, and CEO of the Doral Chamber of Commerce, Manny Sarmiento. Welcome, and thanks for coming back again.
Thank you. I love the accolades. I'm
Yes.
extraordinary now. What did you say now?
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay.
And you are. I know you don't know that, but you are.
Inflated head,
And
ego.
Yeah. And would you introduce our guest?
Well, this is Elena Tauler is one of our finest chamber members, great friend, great community person, of course, a resident of Doral, and we just love her. She's unique, original, and she's got some a very good, innovative company. One of the examples that I use for marketing is what Elena is doing. So we're going to expand on that because our chamber is changing. You know, this is an amazing platform. This is the platform that you need to have. You need to be on video. We've talked about that. Elena, you do your monthly workshops, which we help market for you, and those are getting a lot more attendance, and you've gotten clients out of it, which is the important part. So, you know, I'm always talking about marketing. You've got to be on video. You've got to figure out how to do this, okay? Whether you're an advertiser here for community newspapers, which is my number one recommendation for marketing your business, because people say, no, it's all social media. Well, I teach social media, and what do I tell you in social media? That Facebook is not a good platform to market on unless you spend money on it. And then even then, when you buy ads, it may not work for you. So if you're going to go on Facebook, you need to go Facebook Live. Whether you do the workshops on Zoom like you're doing, and we're going to take those workshops on Zoom and put them over on Facebook Live. We're going to go YouTube Live. Then we're able to take your video, your workshop, and distribute it. We were talking about distribution a minute ago,
Yes.
which is the important part, getting people to see it, not just being on live. And this platform you've created is wonderful. Really love it. That's why I love coming on here. And you know that what I try to do is bring a lot of useful information. And Elena's been, I don't want to call her a guinea pig but you have followed what I've told you.
Yes.
Which is great, what I tell our chamber members, and she's doing her monthly workshops, which are fabulous, and that's the way to go. So Elena Tauler, Esquire.
Welcome, Elena.
Well,
so you've been a Doral resident for a while?
Oh, I have been a Doral resident for over 20 years. Yep.
And when almost 8 or 9 years ago, you joined the Doral Chamber.
Yes, I have known the Doral Chamber for many, many years, and I actually have, come to trust it and to see it grow and serve the community. So I'm really proud, and I want to thank you, Manny, by the way, for all the really unearned, just accolades that you mentioned. But I am really, really happy to be a member of the Doral Chamber, and the Doral Chamber has helped my law office greatly.
So 8 years ago, 8 years plus.
8 years, right? A little more.
Yeah.
Eight years plus. What caused you to say, I'm going to join that group? What is it that occurred that?
The Doral Chamber. You know, I am drawn to service of the community also. Helping the community, serving the community, giving back. And really, if I have to say just 2 words about the Doral Chamber would be giving back to the community.
So are you saying at the beginning you knew they were giving back and that
Well,
drew you?
I saw that. I saw that they started right away just trying to it wasn't, they weren't trying to get something for themselves. It was like they were trying to see what the community needed. I went to a couple of meetings. I heard Manny. I heard what other people were saying about, the chamber, and I was just drawn to it too.
Good. So what drew you to become hold on one second. What drew you to become a lawyer?
Oh, to become a lawyer. Oh my goodness. Well, when I was a child, I would want to talk and defend those around me that were shy or that were unable to, defend themselves. For example, my sister, my younger sister, she was the type that would just not speak up. so I would always be interjecting and saying, hey, what about her opinion? What about her? And so everyone started to say, you should be a lawyer. You should be a lawyer. This is our lawyer. And they were already proclaiming that. And it was, to me, if that's what a lawyer does, speak up and protect, the ones that need help, then I thought, I want to be a lawyer. I didn't really know what it was, but I kept saying it.
Were you like 12 when that happened?
No, I was I was actually younger. I started when I was like 8 or something.
So you knew then?
So I knew then. I kept saying it, and people would say it. So, later, here in the United States, because I was born in Cuba, my family did not speak English, okay? So, and my father, didn't speak English, and neither did I really, but I started to learn in school. So I would read the letters for him from any, the government or whatever it would be, the immigration papers. And so I started to just kind of represent. He was my first client, my father, he trusted me to just tell him, what does this say? So it just became something that identified who I was. Career choice.
So for the 8 years, you find that with her?
What's that?
In the 8 years she's been an active member of the Doral Chamber, have you find that she's a very giving person, willing to stand up and speak up?
Yeah, she's known in the community for that, and that's what it takes. I wanted to mention a few things about marketing. I don't want this to be about the chamber. I want this to be always. I try to present something that gives you, so you can learn. This is a very tough time with COVID. Okay, one of the reasons I wanted to bring Elena on is because she has actually followed our steps. Our Vice President Carmen Lopez, she's got
who's in our audience right
now.
now.
In our audience, who's in the audience. Hi, Carmen. Okay. One of the things she has a metaphor that a chamber is like a gym. Okay, you join it, you don't do anything, it doesn't do anything for you. Now, I'm a stickler. I hate taking your money and not doing anything for you, and not giving you value. So we push. Carmen and I will call you if we haven't seen you. I think I've called you, right? Elena, where are you? Okay. Show up to the events, do your workshops. If you follow, I've got a lot of great ideas. Okay, I go and I step outside, I come back in, I have an idea. Okay, and the idea is right now with COVID, you've got to get more active. You've got to pivot. We've all heard that probably. You've got to pivot what you're doing, how you're doing it, but your marketing has to pivot too. We can't do networking events. We can't get out there, obviously. With 10 people or more, we're going to get arrested and end up in jail with a bunch of people who have COVID, right? So you can't do networking events, but this is the platform to repeat. This is the best platform. You got to get on TV. I mean, I'm not on TV, on video. TV. Video.
So here's one of the things we've seen perfectly along that people want to know about you. This is where they can find out, where it's spontaneous and it's real, all right? Mm-hmm. They can have this casual conversation and looking at that versus, with your IBM suit and everything and being strict. Now, people want to join chambers. They want to be involved because they look at it, they feel it, and they get a very good sense of it. So let me ask you, Elena, you've been involved in civic affairs, public affairs?
Sure, and I've been involved in a lot of public affairs, community events, and the like. Some with the chamber, others, even without the chamber. Because when you get out there and you see the need of the community, for example, in Doral, with the Venezuelan community, I was very proud to go out there and to give free seminars and teach them how to fill out documents and volunteer for that. And there's so many opportunities, food drives, things that we can all get involved in. You don't have to be a lawyer or be
So when you were 8 years old, more or less,
oh my goodness.
and you were speaking for the people that needed help.
Yeah.
All right. This now a few years later, there you are doing that.
Yeah, just
right?
a few. Just
a few years, and that shines through. And how instantly you went back to many years before, and so here it is that you're helping the people that need it the most. I remember there's a personal growth seminar that I took, and after you're there for about a day and a half, they say go. It's a 90-90 minute sit along with your wife and you just sit there and you write out for 90 minutes as much as you can.
Wow.
And I remember clear as day, one of my functions is to help the hopeless and the helpless.
Wow.
Right?
Beautiful.
All right? And that was many years ago. And so that was the driving force in what we do, all right? And I can see that's with you as well. I mean,
Yes.
because you're out there and it so happens that you became a lawyer so you can help on that next level. So my hat's off to you for doing
Thank
that.
you.
And we all have a responsibility to do that. We don't realize, some people don't realize that. You know, if you have your business and you're trying to sell your services, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know, what you do eventually when somebody buys your products and services is you're providing value. So you do it proactively. In the new marketing, you do it proactively. It's how can I help? And she's made that my new theme, my new slogan. But it's how can I help is should be your theme for your business. People are out there in networking events and say, here's my card. I didn't ask you for your card. I don't need your card. I don't want your card. You know, don't approach people like that in networking, whether it's virtual or physical. Your responsibility is to figure out how to help someone. So, hi, Michael. My name is Manny. Please tell me more about your business. If I wanted to tell somebody about you and what you do, how would I explain you? Because that's what happens with Elena. She has a valuable tool. As an attorney, she's chosen wills and trusts and estates. So I don't need that. No, I might need that, but I don't know that because I don't know her. But when you get out there, get to know people. We have a responsibility, personally and business-wise, to help others. If you think that way, your business will grow and prosper. Because that's what we're here to do. So one of the things I wanted to do in this show is let people to understand why you need Elena, why you need a trust and wills and estates attorney. And you can, of course, obviously you explain it better. And there's a couple of examples on that. So that's why we're here. That's why this is a great platform, because you bring people on here who are educating others and helping others with information, with knowledge, in marketing and other aspects, we have that's why I wanted Elena here, because she can bring a lot of.
So before you get on that, I want to let people know we take people's temperature when we come in, and clean our hands. We have a divider between us over
Yes.
there.
Got my sticker.
And by the way, you can go to Tropical Park. You can do it online for your appointment. I've been there like 3 times in the past 2 weeks. It's really simple to register. You go over, you show them your phone, and they do it.
Dolphin Mall too.
And Dolphin Mall, all right, all over, all right. I urge you, if you haven't done it, you should do it. It doesn't mean that tomorrow you're not going to get it, but at least for today, that you know that you're there. And when we do that not just for ourselves, but for the people that we care about.
Yeah.
All right, so you say, well, okay, I'm going to go and get out of that and go home. So, and since we've been talking about COVID, lots of people have been getting sick, and lots of people are dying, and that's your field apparently.
Yeah, unfortunately, even though really none of us has a guarantee on life, there's no, contract, and nobody knows. I mean, age is not, the young and the old die the same. Of course, we don't expect the young to die, and it's not the natural way, but we should all think beyond, for the protection of our families. And for those of you, because my kids are already, even though they still need my protection, they're over 18. My youngest is 22. But some people, you have young children, and you don't really think, what would happen if I don't make it home tonight? I mean, what would literally happen? Just if you were writing a movie, if you were like watching a show, you leave your house, you leave your kids with a babysitter, and you don't come home ever, alive anyway. So what would actually happen? And it's a tough question, and I don't expect anybody to really have an answer, because most people haven't thought of it. But it is something that could happen, and something that, hey, you haven't thought of. Who would step in when the police comes because the babysitter calls? What would be the first thing that happens?
It's so sobering.
So it's not just financial, it's also...
Of course. And not only that, when we prepare a binder with all the documents that it is about this thick, with all, lawyers write a lot of words, and But it covers things like who's going to make my life and death decisions for me? Who's going to get access to my medical records? If you don't have it in writing, just because you're married to someone doesn't, the law doesn't presume that that person has even your best interest. It could be somebody who's already separated, but they're legally married. So the law says if you don't have the documents in place, a judge has to decide. Do you want that?
So how does that go? I mean, even if somebody ends up in, I mean, it's kind of morbid to speak about this, but
Yeah.
it's so important
Yeah, it's
to do so because even we were talking yesterday about the two examples of the gentleman the actor from Black Panther, great
Yes.
actor, and he passed away, and he didn't have a will, and then you gave me the story about Kobe Bryant. Can you
Yeah.
tell people that story?
Sure.
And can you explain why it's important to work with you and prepare documents
Sure.
for life? Let's call it for
Sure.
life because it is for life.
It is for life, even though the typical estate planning process focuses on death. It is not really about death. It is about your life and your loved ones' lives, which is even more important to us, most of us. So, yes, Kobe Bryant. Well, it's sad story. I loved Kobe Bryant and just such a wonderful family too with their children, and he was so involved. So he ended up, as most of us know, an unfortunate helicopter accident, and he and his youngest daughter, no, it was the middle daughter, died. But what happened is, even though he had a trust, so he had put some planning in place, he had put it in the shelf, like most people do when they even do some planning, which is a very small percentage of the population, about 12 to 20%. So what happened is they didn't add the youngest daughter. So Vanessa Bryant, while she was grieving the death of her husband and her daughter, had to take time from her grieving and her, family time to go to court, to go to probate court, because that daughter was not updated in the trust and was not made part of it. So it is so important not just to put the documents in place, but have a relationship. And this is what we do in my office. We have a relationship. We call ourselves, lawyers for life. So that's the kind of relationship we want with our clients, that every 3 years we say, just like you follow up, Manny, and I know you do because you and Carmen will call me and follow up. Hey, Elena, how are you doing? We do the same with our clients.
So this is it is a really uncomfortable situation, all right? So you have an uncomfortable situation, then of course you have the money, then you have, gee, I don't want to think about this stuff, and then it gets delayed and delayed and delayed. And so you mentioned it's 12 to 20% of the people have it in place, and that's it.
No, and those people have perhaps even an incomplete plan, just a will. Right, and you know what the biggest surprise, maybe I'll ask you that question. If you have a will, does it keep you from having your relatives to go to probate court because you have the will? The definition of the will,
I have no idea.
well, and the definition of the will is getting proof in court, probate. That's what it means. So by definition, you have to end up in court unless you have a trust.
So what happens in court? Sorry, what happens in court?
Well,
it's
in
costly,
court,
right?
I'm sorry?
It's costly, right?
It's costly. It could take years. Your family does not.
There may be somebody opposing things on the other side.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it is a lawsuit that you file because it's with your money, your estate. You file against yourself for the benefit of your creditors. So Manny,
Wow,
it's
confusing.
not.
Yeah, that's it.
So when we did ours, the motivation was my wife and I 20 years ago we went to Washington, D.C. the month after 9/11. And I had to go. I was running the Washington Marine Corps Marathon. I said, if I don't go, the bad guys won, all right? Because that's real terror when you enter. I said, we're going, all right? And I said, and we might die, all right? And so we went and we did this will, all right? And then, and as I think back, my kids were about this big, and when they turn 35, this is what they're going to get, or when they turn 30 and 35, so that's now, all right? but it took a lot of motivation to get it to that point, which was I may not come home, right?
Right.
And that's what really pushed it, right?
And none of us have you did a very heroic and wonderful thing in doing that. But, you could just get in the car and go to, for lunch. And you don't know.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because with so many people getting sick and dying from COVID, I mean, it's the percentages are huge. And and lots of younger people too, right? Not just people that are 85 years old. And so this is a really good time to really start thinking about what if, right?
And we're very busy right now also because of that, because a lot of people are saying, well, what if I need to be intubated now with the ventilator situation and all that? I have a will, but it says that I never wanted to be put on life support, but that may be part of the treatment, right? So we want to update those documents. You want to review. You want to be really, really careful. Also, what your healthcare directives say. Also, HIPAA, who has the authority to get information on your medical condition? And if you don't have it in writing, doctors, they have to obey. It's a federal law. So just it's really important to take a look at all the documents. Estate planning is not one document. It's not. Some people say, oh, I have a life insurance policy, and that's estate planning. Or I have a will. It is a set of documents. It includes a trust in most cases, the healthcare directives, financial power of attorneys, medical power of attorneys. So, God,
yeah, Manny and I are going, all right, we've had enough, right?
I knew I had to bring her on here for some great information. Look, I'm really glad you're here, because this is valuable information, and I feel proud when we can do this. I'm telling you, I have to give you accolades for what you prepared here. This show,
yes,
and the information you bring to the community, you and Grant, it's just great. And this is so important. People don't know this; they just ignore this, and then they run into trouble, cost them money. Monies and situations like you said with Kobe Bryant's family, where they had to be in court when they were still grieving, loss of funds that could help the family after you pass away. It's so important. I'm so glad you're here, and great explanation, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny.
10 years ago, I was going into the hospital, and they said to me, "Do you have a living will?" They asked me right there. Who can do this, who's your surrogate, all this stuff, because they want to make sure as best they can as your last resort,
right.
Your very last resort.
Right.
Here it is. You might not wake up from the anesthesia or whatever it happens.
That's a good question to ask her. What's a living will?
Well, yeah, no.
Because we know what it is, but
because exactly what we were talking about. If you put in your living will, what are your desires for treatment, for your end of life, for your medical treatment? And sometimes just spelling it out, it gives your family too the peace of mind that this is what he wanted, this is how she wanted it, and there is a certain peace and just surrender to the process of losing a loved one is a very hard thing. And
I'm glad you brought up about being intubated, being on a respirator.
Yeah.
Because the figures now, if you're put on a respirator, it's, I don't know, I'm not quite sure the figure, but there are some people that have recovered from it.
Oh, sure.
All right. So before that might have been, listen, you've had brain surgery, whatever, and we're just going to put you on this while your family figures out if you're going to discontinue treatment.
Right.
Today, that's like part of the treatment.
Yes.
All right. Not
Yes.
just trying to keep, from some surgery. So that is different today.
Of course.
And I had a friend who said to me about 6 months ago, Michael, I do not, have you ever seen one of those people with that tube down their throat? I said, yes. I don't want to ever have that happen to me. He told me 4 times over a couple days.
Wow.
And so I'm going, okay, I know he's telling me for a reason, all right? So fortunately, he didn't get sick, all right? But I sort of imagined myself going to his loved one and saying, just going to tell you what he told me, right? This is what he told me, all right? And he was telling me, not just for a conversation, because he kept repeating it over and over again. So that doesn't work. You have to put that in writing. You just can't tell a friend that your hope is going to show up because you get 0, all right?
Yeah, because in the absence of you putting it in writing, and then the decision is going to be by committee, And you don't know because if there's a dispute, let's say that a daughter or a son, wants something, but the spouse wants something else, it may end up having to be decided by a judge. And how does the judge know? I mean, he's just going to go by he'll do his best.
Yes. You mentioned that you were a litigator.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, I actually, like to fight for my clients, right?
We got that from when you were 8.
From when I was 8. So, going to law school, I went to the University of Miami, and, my idea was fighting for clients, building a big law firm, which I eventually did. And it was, big cases and everything else and trials. But what happened is that I realized that people go to a litigator, which we need, of course, and I, know a lot of great litigators, used to be one. But what happens is that after the case is done, then, they go away and they don't need you anymore, right? It's not like that same relationship I have now with clients where I want them to pick up the phone and call me if they get a letter they don't understand, if they have a problem, if their business, is going through something, because I'm also a business lawyer. So I want that relationship, and I found the best place or the best area of law, and it is being a family and business lawyer, personal business lawyer for them. So that means that it's like if I'm on board, if I'm part of their legal team, but they're not afraid to pick up the phone because I'm not going to send them a bill just because they called me.
When we look at how committees are put together, we look in I don't want to mention anything about Washington, but you look how these committees are being formed, especially with the COVID thing. You have different arenas, so the physicians and the business people, to figure out the best way to handle that. Most of us don't have our own brain trust, our own think tank to be able to have real conversations about real things, all right? I remember years ago, we called a cemetery. They came out to the house. I must have been about 30. My wife and I were looking at each other. Finally, the lady said, "You're not even ready, are you?" I said, "No, we're not." All right? I said, "Not yet." So a lot of those decisions are very, very tough. And as we get older, we start to recognize everything, and especially when we're seeing what's happening. So, by the way, were you ever a public defender?
No.
Did you ever think about that?
Did I ever think about that? I did some criminal law, and I still have, even today, I still have some criminal defense cases. I just love to be passionate about the cases that I do take. So I have to believe in my case, in my client, and just being a public defender. And yes, there are some cases that you're passionate about, but others maybe not so much. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the way that I like to work. I like to get to know my clients really well and to know what happened.
Could you share with us some of the charities that you've been involved with, or civic organizations?
Sure. Wow. Well, I was a member of a board in South Florida for several children. Child Help was one of them, World Vision. But locally, what I love to do most is help with the community distributing food. There are several churches that I participate still in getting out there and making sure that and it's tough work. I mean, you have to, put those boxes, fill them up with food and make sure that everybody gets one and that kind of thing. So, but it is very rewarding. It's one of the things that I love doing. And the others, educating the community. I love educating the community. It's not about hiring me. I just want you to know what your rights are, what your family needs, and then you make the decision. And same thing with immigration. I love to tell people, hey, we have laws, learn the laws and do it right. Don't go to a notario who may actually do a lot of damage instead of good. So, just getting that information.
So about 10 years ago, somebody I knew who was undocumented. He was in jail in California or Texas, and he had a public defender. And I said, listen, I sent him a letter. I said, I will come testify, and I will offer him a job in a certain arena. If He says, you know, Michael, I've been doing this a long time. I never heard anybody do that before. I said, well, I'm doing it because I know them, and it's something, if I can do that for somebody else, I'm happy, you know, to do it. It turned out that the judge said, never mind, you're going back, right? But there's things that we can do, you know, during the day and during the week, and certainly on the food drives, and some of the things that Manny's involved in helping other people, because we know it's the right thing to do. One of the great things that Manny has helped me do is be a better caring person, and being able to share our marketing assets with other people, because there are lots of people that are going to be watching this, they're going to look and they're going to say, that one little thing that they might hear and take home with them and say to their spouse, hey, we need to do that, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Because you never know when that's going to be. And then years later, right, you're going to go, aren't I glad, aren't we glad that we did that?
There's always one point that you can pick up with everything. Sometimes I'm a big, I have Audible, and I've been an Audible member for years. It's now an Amazon company. I download books, audiobooks, mostly business, of course. And sometimes I re-listen. We were re-listening in the car coming down from Orlando this weekend, and MJ DeMarco. And, you know, I've listened to that book, Millionaire Fastlane, which sounds like a hokey-pokey book, but it's a really great book. And it talks about NECST. Very important book to read, MJ DeMarco. You can also read mine, but Marketing Magic. But and you always pick up one point that's so beneficial. That's what I'm hoping here today, because once again, what Elena does is so important to your family. Okay, and I've already mentioned we got to get back. It's be prepared. You know, we don't know where we're at today. I say, you always ask me for the last point, where I think we're running out of time, right? Yep. So I'll give you the last point right now is make sure.
Talk to them. Where are they? Which camera?
Which camera?
Right here.
Okay, right, camera. Look at the camera. Okay, let's make sure that you're giving back. Look, it's as simple as educating people on giving back. I mean, I'm kind of frustrated with how people are behaving today on the road. I stay off the turnpike. I come down either US 27 or 98 or 441 to stay off the turnpike because people are just reckless. We got to change that. And that change starts with us, okay? One simple little thing. Now, I also have my Starbucks app, right? I'm at Starbucks sometimes. I'll see someone behind me or in front of me, and I'll step in front and I'll say, let me pay for this. They look at you weird, okay? It's like, why are you doing that? You know, and I do that, and then I walk away. And I make sure I walk away, because I want to make sure I'm doing it so I can teach it. If they happen to catch up to me, and sometimes they'll chase you down, I just say, no, just pass it on. Do it for somebody else. Those miniature points, those miniature things that we do for others is so important right now with COVID and the situations that we're in. I think it's more important than ever that we reach out and try to find what we can do, whether it's in business, which is what Carmen and I do in the chamber, or whether it's personally. Hold the door open for someone. Make sure you're being courteous. Please, thank you. God bless you. I'm saying that a lot lately, and I'm glad I'm saying that, and that's coming from the heart. Let's do something for others. You know, we have Elena's just amazing. I mean, we just love her. We've got some amazing chamber members. We've actually, with COVID, of course, we've reduced our membership, but that's great. Now I look at the bright side. We're able to do more, right? We're able to do more for you.
Absolutely, and I would say that in Doral, the businesses in Doral that I have spoken to that are also members of, or some of them that I've talked to, they're all so grateful that surviving this period, and I can say that too, without the chamber would have been so difficult, maybe even impossible, because Manny was out there from the beginning, Manny and Carmen, just putting out information about loans and who's offering what, and just, endless hours that they were dedicating to letting us know.
There's 3 great loans right now. Subscribe. Go to doralchamber.org. Go to the bottom, subscribe. It's a lot of emails because we do a lot of stuff. But there's Rise has up to, they called me yesterday, they have as much as $45,000 in loans. That's Rise. Miami has grants. Miami's actually giving away gift cards today. Coral Gables is doing a lot. You know me, I don't hold back. Our city, I'm disappointed with our mayor and our council. Really disappointed, because we could have done so much more. We've lost too many businesses. That's why I ran for mayor, didn't make it. But I'm still in our position. Carmen and I, We'll do whatever it takes to help you, to help our community, to help our businesses. We can help our businesses. We got the American Express thing, shop local. Do that. Shop in your community.
He's a great marketer, folks. All right. So, Elena, we're going to wrap up here in just a minute. I want you to think about there's some 8-year-old little boy or little girl sitting out there.
Oh, that's a
And they're
big
looking at you and remembering this, what you said, you realized it was 8 years old. I want you to talk to them about what's in their future and how they get what they want. Which camera? Okay.
Well, I want to say to you or to the parent of that 8-year-old to encourage them. And for you, the 8-year-old, I want to say, be encouraged that whatever makes you happy is really what you should be doing. So just don't think of the obstacles. Don't think if anybody had obstacles was me. I was in a country where, access to anything, even toys was very difficult. It was Cuba and things were really difficult. I heard a word from somebody who said, you can do anything. You can be anything. And that's what I want to say to you and to your child. Repeat those words to them and say, you can accomplish what you want. You can do anything. And it starts with loving people and wanting to change, wanting to do something, even small, even helping somebody cross the street. You know what? You don't know. That person you may have made their day, and then that person could give you in return advice or just, encouragement that you will need. So hold on to that, and that I think is a path.
Okay, and I'd like to do two things. One, out of all the things I do during this last 35 minutes, this part right here, this last minute, is really significant to me because we hope to be able to make a difference to somebody. So before I have my end remarks, I'm going to say hello to people that are watching: Rick Madrigal, Renee Williams, George Gonzalez, Eddie Ick, Marco Baldo, Eric Westfield, Levi Mayer, and my, I was going to say daughter, my wife Susan is watching. I was about 40 years old, running a 5K at the University of Miami one evening. It was a Halloween run, and I'm running along, and I see a woman that I know, and I'm feeling good because I'm passing her. I'm going, God, she's really fast. I must be fast. And I said, no, you're not fast. She's slow. Why is she slow? So I stopped, and I said to her, I've forgotten her name, and I said, what's going on? She says, well, next week I'm doing the New York Marathon. Now, this is many years ago. And she looked at me and she said, you could do it if you wanted to.
Wow.
And a year and a week later I did. So folks, you can do it if you want to. Have a great day, and thanks for joining us.